And we are off and running. Welcome to the Power Hour. My name is Steve, and my partner across the way lighting his stick is the urban sensation C-Red. Welcome to a very special episode of the Power Hour. We're calling this one 48 Hours, the case of the missing ring. Now, this story has been passed down from generation to generation or over the last 3-4 years. I can tell myself that I have told this story on so many shows at so many times because people don't believe that it occurred. A ring could be stolen. People don't believe me when I tell them, but this is real. And tonight, for the first time, you are going to get the straight story from the people that actually lived it. Once upon a time, there was a company called Crash Tested Wrestling. Some of the best wrestling I've ever been involved with in my life. And it was a lot of fun to work there. One of the best locker rooms I've ever worked with. And joining us tonight are some of these really impressive members of the locker room, part creative, part trainer, a very successful talent. C-Red, you were there that night. You were part of the infamous ARC. You were managing that night. Things went haywire in 2017 at Crash Givings. You've heard me tell this story on this show many times. I imagine you probably have told this story a time or two over your life. And do people believe you?
I don't think they believed me until it happened again in another company. But then people found out that whole thing was set up by somebody else. So it kind of gave our story, a little bit more legs to stand on.
So we're going to meet the players. So joining us tonight are some of the greatest storytellers that I've ever had the privilege to work with in this industry over the 7 years I've been doing it. Of course, there is the evil genius, general manager and creative director of Crash Tested Wrestling at the time. It is our good friend of the show, Aaron Xavier.
What's going on, Steve? What's going on, Red? Nice to see you again, Red. And I'm going to apologize to the wrestling business for keeping Steve around so long.
It's going to be one of them nights. Okay. Also joining us, friend of the show, is one of the most popular talents that were working at Crash Tested Wrestling at the time. And a man.
Member of the ARC.
He was a member of the ARC, and a man that is hot on the scene right now in the Chicago connection, getting ready to take over Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. And that's Mr. 3%, John Hudson, friend of the show, been on a couple of the shows. Welcome back, John. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Since Aaron did the whole introduction and everything, AA Ron, you're not Aaron, you're AA Ron. I love you. Tom, I always love you. C-Red, there's a reason why I posted what I posted today is because you were in it. You were part of that. I love you. And Steve, you are one, aren't you the, you are. You are the Chicago Connection's personal ring announcer.
I am doing some of the vocal stylings for the Chicago Connection. It's very exciting for me.
So
happy to be part of the team.
We got a little tag team going on right here.
We do. And then, of course, it is the man who has more identities in this business than anybody that I know. The man that has inflicted more harm on me than just about anybody that I know. And a man that I've gone to the well to many times on just about every show that I've ever done.
Antoine's on the show?
You might know him as Tom Heisman. You might know him as Tommy Maddox. Hell, you might even remember him at CTW as the Fallout Ace Bradley. The man's been around. The man did some crazy things at CTW that I've never seen before. So welcome, Tom Kudelik.
How's it going?
I'll try
to behave this time.
We couldn't get it up last week.
Okay. We used them all last
week.
Okay.
I already finished one. I've got another one on reserve. But I'm here to behave because I'm going to let that kick in about an hour or so when our special.
This is going to be great. All right. Jared Priest will be joining us in a few moments. The Demigod Jared Priest, you know him from his show, The Demigod Project. He was a featured player at Crash Tested Wrestling, wrestled with John Hudson in the Destiny 2 ladder match, which is one of the craziest matches I've ever seen. Almost gave me a stroke on commentary. So we're going to have him, and he was instrumental in the recovery of the ring along with Tom, but we'll get to that in a little while. Boys, we remember that fateful afternoon in November at CTW Presents Crash Givings. Aaron, when you get to the venue and you see what's going on, where does your mind go when you realize you're 2 hours to showtime and you have no damn ring?
It wasn't even that close. As I was on the way to the building, I was about 10 minutes out, and I get a call from Tom, and Tom's like, "Hey, the ring's been stolen." And I swear to God, I thought for sure this motherfucker was ribbing me. I was like, there is no way the ring was stolen. Although you look at the area we were in, maybe not. So I get to the building and I'm, okay, where's the ring? And he's like, I wasn't joking. It's gone. What do you mean it's gone? It's gone. How is it gone if it hasn't gotten here yet? He's like, no, they brought the ring before the show and left it here. We had it under the cage and it's gone. And at that point, we had no idea where it was. This was noon, 1 o'clock.
Okay, so this is around noon.
Yeah, noon, 1 o'clock. I usually got there somewhere between noon and 2.
Okay.
It's like, so I get there, it's gone. And at this point, at least initially, me and Tom had no idea where the fucking, we thought it was just like legit stolen. And I don't know where it went from there. So my first thing is I'm calling Antoine, no answer. I'm calling LaTanya, no answer. And of course, no answer when we actually need them for something. And so, and I really, it's like, I don't remember exactly how it was. Tom, maybe you do. It's like, how did we find out who had the ring initially? Do you remember?
I don't initially remember, but I had sneaking suspicion. I mean, I had called around and been like, I don't know where the ring's at. Because if you remember, the show before was All or Nothing, which is when me and Brutus had the last man standing match. He put me through the cage panel, and we just decided to leave the cage there. So that night we took the ring down, we threw the cage on top of everything. Well,
okay, so it was there for a month. I didn't know that. Right. I thought it was brought like the week before.
They allowed us to keep the ring there.
No, it had stayed there from the show prior.
It's like so. It's like all I know is I'm trying. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
And all I was gonna say is, I had no idea, but the only thing I could thought of was who would we wronged, or who wronged us in the past, and the only person I could really thought of was JJ, and I just started making phone calls.
Now, for clarification purposes, at that point, and he'll be joining us at the end of the show to give us his recount of the situation. And I think it's important to bring him in. He's been painted as the villain of the story for the last many years. And maybe he was villainous at the time, but maybe not the biggest villain in light of what had come as time elapsed. There was a situation where he was no longer working at Crash Tested, but Crash Tested was partially his property as he was partners with Antoine and the LRP. That's correct, isn't it?
From what I gather, like I said, it's like there's a lot of things that we're going to have to piece together here because different people have different knowledge and stuff like that.
Right.
The way at the time, and I'm just speaking at the time, not what we know now. At the time, the understanding was that LRP had bought Crash Tested Wrestling. That's really all I was privy to. I know about 2 months prior, Jed had come to a show at some point. It was a month or two prior.
I remember that.
And Antoine had approached me and asked me what my thoughts were on bringing him back to, and to sort of help take some stuff off of mine and Tom's plate. And I was completely against it, but I was completely against it more for the reasons that we were talking about prior, where there were, things that were, it had a very chance for backstabbing vibes. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to upset the apple cart in any sort of way. We had a lot of momentum going at that point. And I really, thought that despite the fact that I was, stressed beyond any measure, and I think I quit at least 3 times a month at that point.
I had to beg you to come back twice.
It's, I was just against the idea of changing the process of which we went. But I did tell Antoine, if you can find something he can do that's not going to interfere with what I'm doing, and there's an understanding that he works under me, then I won't stand in your way. And he said, he's not going to agree to that. So now the ring comes up missing. And I don't know at what point, but Tom comes to me and says something about Jed has the ring. And at that point, I'm flabbergasted. I really don't know what to think. It's like, when did he get it? It's like, and I still don't, it's still not completely clear to me when he actually came and got the ring. But that day, it's like my understanding was he either got it that morning or the day before. And, Tom maybe can elaborate it on more, but it was just one of those things that it sort of became a blur, because at that point it went into either trying to get the ring back, or, I was going through every contact I had trying to find a ring to get, just in case we couldn't get it back.
And that's how it was for me too. I remember reaching out to Joey Boom Boom from ARW, Hardcore Harry, Merle. I reached out to countless people and was not able to at all find a ring. And that's when I decided, I was like, all right, there's only one person I can really think of that might have this thing. And that was Jed Williams. And boy, was I fucking right on that one.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, when partners get in a situation where the partnership is dissolving and it escalates into a legal struggle that goes to court, there's a lot of murky details that you don't know along the way. So, from the recounts that I hear is, the ring belonged to Jed, but actually was the ring actually property of Crash Tested. So there are variables that change when you talk to different people.
It's like, my understanding is this, and this is exactly what I told Jed when we had our little interaction over Facebook, about a month ago.
Right.
It's at the time of this, apparently, and this was unbeknownst to me completely. I knew there was some sort of fight going on for the name, or I was told Jed was trying to get the company back. I didn't know what that really entailed, but at that point, the ring, all the property of Crash Tested belonged to Crash Tested. And in the eyes of the court, it had not been decided who owned Crash Tested. So at that point, to me, the ring belonged to the company.
Right.
And at that time, Tom and myself were running the damn company.
Right.
So anything that Jed says of, well, it was my ring, the courts proved it, I'm sorry, fuck you. The courts decided that later on.
That's the thing I think that is interesting, and that's where the compelling part of this story is. Ultimately, after the courts decided that Jed was the rightful owner of Crash Tested and all its stuff, at that point, it most certainly was his ring. But the time frame is a little murky depending upon who you ask. If you ask Antoine, and Aaron, of course, the ring belonged to Crash Tested, the company. Yeah. And later, after the court's decision, it was ruled that it belonged to Jed. So, in Jed's eyes.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
So I actually was there before any of this really kind of took place, before any of you guys were really there. So after Crash Tested's second or third show, I want to say their third show, it was at their Winter Mania. Jed realized he wasn't going to be in Winter Mania. Took place, I believe, in 2015. I want to say 2015 or 2016. I'm not sure on the year. It took place at a building called Soul Food for You. The show tanked. It was bad. And Antoine had helped get the venue. It was literally a restaurant where they did like buffet style family dining. And after that, Jed realized he was screwed. His original business partner pulled out, left him hanging with the ring payments. Jed couldn't afford to make the payments on his own, so he worked out an agreement or an arrangement with Antoine. And I'm not sure as to what the details of it were. I think it was Antoine was going to make the remainder of the payments and then pay the back pay to Jed in full to completely own the ring. I don't know if that was under Antoine's name or LRP Network. I would assume LRP because anything Antoine did was under LRP. And anybody who got paid from LRP knows how those paychecks worked. And
lots of rubber.
Oh yeah. And it basically came down to I want to assume Antoine was just making an Antoine deal and knew it was gonna end up backfiring later on down the road. But to go back to what everything was, what you guys were talking about, I can't 100% say that LRP Network bought the rights to Crash Tested as much as I think Antoine was just trying to help the purchase of the ring. So
there's a lot of variables here that nobody may ever know. But as it stands right now, the ring is Jed, CTW is Jed, and he is rebranding it, and he's going to be CTW 2.0 or 3.0, and they're going to have Destiny Reborn. So these are all things that are true now. I want to harken back to that day. I'm not so worried about the he said, she said, who's right, who's wrong. I'm more interested in the uniqueness of this story. So, Aaron, you're driving down all the way from Rockford. You've got a whole card worth of athletes expecting a payday. You've got fans that have pre-bought tickets. You have a venue. You have IMS bringing in the video cameras. So we have the myself, the Swink, and all the people, the cameraman, Jumbo Joe, Pete Ferrari, all the IMS people coming in to do the audio and video, and you have no ring. So you can't wrestle on the floor. I mean, I guess you could, but you wouldn't. And at that point, it's a bit of a panic situation because despite who took it or where it went, everybody at the end of that night is going to come looking at you and Antoine.
Well, exactly. It's like, it was a panic situation, especially initially, because I didn't know initially that Jed had taken the ring. My thought initially, especially based on where we were, what type of neighborhood the building was in. And don't get me wrong, we did great in that building, but the area around the building wasn't necessarily the nicest. So
that was Markham, right?
Markham. Yeah, that was the Harold Murphy Rec Center. My initial thought was the ring legitimately just got stolen. So my thing was, let's get in touch with Antoine. Let's call the cops. Let's find a ring.
Because there were police at the venue at one.
That's all. And we'll cover that. We'll cover that when Jared gets here.
I remember, just because you mentioned the police, I remember how we first learned that somebody had come and taken it and not stolen it. Tom and I were going and talking to the police, the police officer that was there, and the person working the desk made a call and said, someone came to the building with paperwork saying they own the ring.
Right. And the way that came up.
That's when the Jed thing came in.
The way that came up is I had called the police. Now, let me remind you, I got to the building at 10 a.m. Anybody that knew what I did before shows that Crash Tested is
nothing.
I would set up the entranceway and I would set up the lighting on the entranceway. So when it came to the ring was not my responsibility. I was not contracted for that. It was not in my arrangement with LRP and Crash Tested. So I got all the trussing for the entranceway set up, all the lighting set up, and everyone's like, all right, do you need our help with anything else? I was like, no, go set up the ring. They went over. Now, if you guys remember the Harold Murphy Rec Center, you had the bleachers on the far side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To the far left of that, you had the emergency fire doors and that pocket area, which is where we sold, or we didn't sell. No, we didn't. It was the other pocket on the far right. We sold concessions and all that, and on that far wall was merch. On the opposite far left, we had the fire doors, and then there was that pocket area where, if you guys remember, for Destiny 2, they had that that scissor lift or whatever. They put a camera up there.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
After that show in the where we had the last
October.
man standing, yeah, the October show. We stored the ring in that far left side, and we just threw the cage on top of it. Around 12 o'clock is when I discovered that the ring was gone. I called you. Then I went up to the building, the maintenance at the front door or the front desk. I was like, our ring is missing. I know we spoke with you last month or so till we could store the ring here. Did anybody show up and just say the ring is there with Crash Test Wrestling? Like, yes, it was a heavy set guy, bald, and he came with 2 or 3 other people. I was like, great. All right. Did they provide any proof? Any documentation that the ring was theirs? Anything? They're like, they came with some court order and some other stuff. You know, we saw it. We didn't bat an eye to it. We thought it was you guys. Definitely not us. That's when I realized, all right, crap. I got a call.
Just to be clear, that's an interesting point. And what CTW is now at Destiny Reborn, also not us. Just for clarification.
Yes.
Not me.
So very much so. So I mean, if you were to go about what Crash Tested is now, it's Crash Tested 3.0. It's had too many incarnations.
And we wish them well. And we wish them all the best.
And
So
only one of them was any good.
here's the thing that always is so they come out and the ring is taken. They believed it to be theirs. They took their property back. So now here we are just hours before doors open, and we have no ring, and we have all of our guys coming in, some driving from significant distances. This is where John Hudson comes in, because John Hudson's coming all the way from Michigan. And John Hudson is getting ready to have what was going to be, you know, what ended up being a very memorable show, as they all were back in those times, because he was a crowd favorite. The people would flock to him. I know many people that think he was the best thing going at CTW. Now,
Grandson of Hercules, baby.
That's right. There, look at that, the gains.
Look at them gains, baby.
Do you even lift, bro?
You're welcome for the gimmick, by the way.
Dude, if you want to get into that, it was not only you, it was multiple set of people that put it together.
Grandson of Zeus.
The grandson of Zeus, the nephew to Hercules, the son to the mother of Gaines, and now the creator of Gaines babies, the dog.
I will pull up the Facebook conversation where I told you this is what you're going with, just to put that to rest.
Dude,
I just remember John coming to me with the idea and saying, I think this would be great as a heel. And my immediate thought was, how soon can I put this into play?
So John, at what point did you realize that everything wasn't kosher at the Harold Murphy Rec Center on that bright sunny day in November?
The moment I got there. Okay, so like from this now, please, anyone who listens, I just want them to know this is from a worker's perspective. I was nowhere on the higher ups of Aaron or Tom or Jared, who's going to pop in hopefully soon. I was just a worker. So this is coming from a worker's perspective. So I would always show up around like between 4:30, 5:30. I do remember me getting to the venue around like 5:15 maybe at the time.
Wait, John, was the ring there yet, or was it not there yet?
No.
Then
We
you
didn't get the ring till 6:30.
No, I would always so I would always pull up in the back.
No, because I remember the timeline. Me and Jared did not leave to get the ring until 4:30, 5 o'clock. The ring got there.
If you just shut up, and Aaron are part of my story. I spoke to both of you. So if you just know your role and shut your mouth.
All right, Cracker Rock.
I love you, Tom.
Oh,
So,
Hey, I didn't know
anyway,
I didn't know we were keeping kayfabe here.
There's only one kind of John Hudson, and we're glad we.
Yeah, my bad, bro. Anyway, so I remember I pulled in the back and there was no one there, which is very random because usually someone's there, or I usually would see AA Ron just chilling out by the benches and stuff like that, but no one was there. So I got my bag, I walked in. No, it was like if this makes any sense, it was like a calm chaos. It was like quiet. There was no ring, nothing. The first person I spoke with was Tom, and he only said like 3 or 4 words to me. He was like one of the first people I saw. I walked right up to him. I'm like, what's up, dude? What's going on? Where's the ring at? And he went, dude, someone fucking stole it. And he just went.
And with that, we're going to interrupt John Hudson, and we are going to bring in. Well, we were going to bring him in. There he is.
Oh.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have a demigod in the house. There he is. It's the one and only demigod. It is Jared Priest joining the case of the missing ring. Now, he's going to hear us in a few minutes.
As soon as he connects.
What I'm gonna say is hopefully he can hear us. Jared, if you can hear us, turn your phone sideways. That way it gets a better view of you.
There you go.
He's working on it. So Jared Priest, obviously one of the major players in what happened on that day, and we're going to get to his involvement. Jared Priest, the demigod is in the house. Welcome. Say hello to the kids.
What's up, everybody? You filthy animals.
Jared, turn your phone sideways so it has a widescreen. It'll trust me. Just trust me. It'll look better when they publish this.
Why? Is that why you did that? Because I can see your pop collection? Oh my God.
No, it zooms in a little bit better, but now don't. Yeah, there you go.
And of course, you can join Jared Priest on Facebook Live Wednesday nights for the Demigod Project. He's never short of an opinion. Right now,
no, not me.
Not you. Now we're talking to John Hudson, and then we're going to get to you and Tom in the ring reconnaissance rescue mission in just a moment. So, John,
what did I miss? Okay,
well, we talked about that fateful morning as Aaron is driving down from Rockford and contacting Tom, and Tom saying, "Hey, we have no ring." And then going through the mental Rolodex of where he could get another ring. And, again, we're trying to set the story that, there was a legal dispute going on between two parties. One party, I think, misinterpreted his connection and his legalities at that time that made for a chaotic afternoon. That's for sure.
Okay. So you guys have basically discussed the stuff that basically people in the drama wrestling world are basically generally beating off to right now.
Yeah,
so, didn't go through some of the particulars
because the realization is that's the part that they don't understand.
Yeah, I know. It's not just hearing the history about it or the situation about it. It's just people just for some reason love the drama. It's like high school all over again. But we got to give people some spank bank material, so let's do it.
If we're time stamping everything, we're right about at the point where the officer showed up to the building.
What were you saying, Xavier?
It's like what you were saying. I've literally had at least one fan tell me that what I said happened did not happen. and it's like, how the hell do you know what happened? Well, this is what I was told. I was like, motherfucker, I was there.
Well, now, here's the crazy part. I'm nobody in Crash Festival, right? I was nobody, just ARC manager, right? I had 2 fans tell me that I was wrong. And it was like, and here's the thing, it wasn't like I was bragging, this was nothing to brag about.
No.
Absolutely
in no way are you bragging about this train wreck.
So for them to tell me I'm wrong, and I'm like, when does in the ring, yes, see red lies, yes. I can
So we have wrestling fans that are telling the wrestlers who were actually involved in the scenario, actually saying conspiracy? What
Yes.
Smart marks, bro.
Go figure, right?
And Jared, as late as last night, I was told that what I was saying was not true. So it's like, and Red, I know Red knew what was going on because Red at that time was one of the guys when I'd get frustrated, I'd go and talk to and say, I'm about to fucking quit again. And it happened almost every goddamn month.
Every month, Aaron was going
But
to.
wasn't no almost to it.
We
At
get these
some
smart.
point, before the doors opened, you knew Aaron was going to have a meltdown, cuss,
because
and
Antoine and Latanya did something to me.
and say, fuck this shit, and walk off, and like, I quit. And then, now let's be honest.
He even quit the award show.
We talked about this earlier, right? One of these things not looking like the other.
Yeah.
So,
I just love these smart fans. Like, well, you know, I was getting through some of my Japan wrestling stuff, like right off the bat, right there. And I heard from a guy that this girl hooked up with the wrestler in the back who blew him last night. Heard this directly from him and stole his gear. And they said this thing didn't happen. Come on, we're here. We're telling you it happened. So if you are watching this right now, this is legit.
To what Red was saying, it became a running joke that I think it was we lost count, but there was, I know at one point I went to Brubaker 9 months in a row when he got to the building, and because the Brubaker, anyone that's been on shows with Brew knows he's notoriously the last fucking guy to the locker room every fucking time.
Still true.
And he would walk in and he'd come to shake my hand as like, you want my fucking job? I quit. 9 months in a row. and every
Give it to
month
me too.
And every month Brubaker would look at me and be like, nah, it doesn't fucking pay enough.
You know, I mean, it's interesting when you are actually running a company. Like, workers just don't know what it takes to put a show together.
Yeah.
They don't know what it takes to like assemble talent. They don't know the background stuff. They're just, hey, I'm here to wrestle, pay me. And then they're like, oh, you know, I don't think they know what they're doing. If I ran the company, it'd be very different. I'm like, come on. You know, just get your payday and get out there and work. Come on, be part of the show and enjoy yourself. You don't want this level of hell, okay?
Yeah. What Jared Priest just said, I learned in 3 easy months back in 2019. Never again. Ever again.
I warned you ahead of time.
I remember after the second month, I get a random message from Steve, and he's like, I finally understand why you quit every month.
Wow.
But here's the thing. Me and John's perspective on this night, and even Steve to a certain degree, is totally different from the three of you.
Totally.
The simple fact
we had legit responsibility.
No, and that's first of all, let's be honest, we're part of a show. We all have some form of responsibility to handle. But the difference is, and I've publicly said this before, when I show up to a show, like certain companies I work for, I already know. If I work for this company, I gotta leave at 12 because I'm gonna have to help with the ring. I'm gonna have to set up chairs. Things that just different companies, you know. When it came to Crash Tested, when I started working for you guys,
I didn't show up 3 hours early because it was a fucking shit show.
Right. I knew, okay, show starts at 7. Professional courtesy that we were taught etiquette was that you showed 2 to 3 hours early. So that meant, okay, 4 o'clock. So John showing up at 5:15. 9 times out of 10, I was there around 5.
Yeah.
And to see, there's a difference between seeing Aaron Xavier pissed off. He's always pissed off.
That is a
but
fact.
to see Priest Tom, Aaron, all heated.
That
And
was
you've got to understand, here I come.
Whoa. Hang on. I was always pissed off because I was always the first one at the building and the last one to leave. Aaron was pissed off because of financial.
There's a difference between you being pissed off and I can still approach you. And there's a difference between you being pissed off and I don't want to fucking say hi to you.
Yeah.
Now,
it's two different times.
This was 2017 is when this happened, and I had been in the business now for about I was just going into my third year, and I had been working with these people for a couple of years now, and I was starting to get to know them, and I was starting to recognize that Aaron was a corpuscle away from a stroke at any given minute on show day.
If you had any inkling, and Tom's the only one who has an idea of what I had to deal with on a daily basis,
no doubt.
You'd understand.
And that's not a criticism, that's just a fact. Tom was always up on the rafters, grunting, angrily going about his work, because he was oftentimes one of the only ones that was still working that close to showtime. Now, Jared Priest is been around a long time, PCW days. He's been a scary dude for many years. But when I got to meet him and work with him a little bit at Crash Tested Wrestling, I always enjoyed talking to him before the shows because he would always talk to me, and it was great. That day I went up to say hello. It was not the Jared Priest that I had come to know. I don't know who this was, but he said, "Not now," just like that. And I walked back to the table and sat down and did not get up again until the end of the show.
But here's the thing. Think about it. In their roles on a regular day, hold on. Aaron is quitting, but you're used to that shit by now. He's pissed off. Let him go blow some steam. Okay. Tom, yes, Tom is one of the hardest people I've ever seen in any fucking company. Again, up in the rafters, setting up cages, doing every fucking thing till shit, the damn bell getting ready to ring. Shit. That's just who Tom is. And let's be honest, this business would have failed to the wayside if it wasn't for people like Tom.
Well,
when it came to people, hold on. When it came to people like Priest, I'm used to at this time, at 5 o'clock, seeing people bump in a ring and Jared getting pissed off because how many times have you ran the ropes before and you're still running the ropes like crap?
He was all over Moody.
I'm used to him training people constantly.
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing John by that time, just throw his shorts on and his boots so he can get a couple of bumps in. These are the things that I'm used to just sitting back and observing. So on this particular day, for Priest, first of all, there's something missing here.
Yes.
There's chairs. There's chairs. There's lights. There's mute. There's sound. But something's missing.
Now let me mind you. Red, if you remember at the Harold Murphy Rec Center, we had to lay 3 giant 50 by 100 foot tarps on the ground. We had to tape them together. We had to set up chairs 5 rows deep on some sections, 10 to 13 chairs wide. We had the entranceway to set up. We had the commentary cage to set up, the cube that went, like the little rig or whatever that went around them, all the cameras, and there's a ring missing.
But that's what I'm saying. So to walk in and please bleep this out if you can, because we don't want the other network to get mad. But for my little black ass to come in, smoking my cigarette, and I'm just ready. Ooh, it's going to be a good show tonight. Aaron say he got something planned for us. Yeah, ARC, baby. What? Huh? And if y'all remember the way when you walk in the door, sometimes that other room, the door would be down or halfway down or all the way up. It depends on how the fuck they were feeling that day. So to not even come in the regular door that day and just say, okay, well, I'll come through here and walk into the back, and anybody that was in the back was quiet. No one was talking.
Could hear a pin drop.
I mean, nobody. So then I walk through the back and then in the little cutway, and I come out, entranceway, chairs, lights, sound, commentary. It's
No ring.
Where the fuck's the ring?
Right.
basically, but I didn't say anything. So at this point, I just wouldn't set my little happy ass down.
Yeah.
You remember,
Because
It's like
you remember what Willie said when he got there, right?
I need to address something real quick.
Go ahead, Aaron.
And this is something that I hear constantly when it comes to crash tested wrestling. I was always pissed off. I was always quitting. And yes, all of it is true. But what no one outside of Tom knows is the reason I was always pissed off, and Tom was on these calls, when we were going over creative, is it was a constant fight with LRP and a constant fight with them. I wasn't pissed off about the show. I had been dealing with trying to make sure the show was good up until the fucking day of the show. Because if you had to listen to
5 minutes.
it's like you would, if you had to hear the shit that they wanted me and Tom to change creatively, you would understand why I showed up every month pissed off. And like Red, usually by the time
Destiny 2.
Creative differences.
it's like usually
Destiny
by the
2,
time
Antoine wanted to change the finish on a bunch of matches, 2 or 3 matches ahead of the fucking show.
yeah, it's like usually by the time Red would show up, you gotten through my initial outburst with them, and I'd be sitting at my little table with my notebook going over what we needed to get pre-taped, shit like that, because Red would always come up to me at the table. And what was different about that show is I remember when Red gets there, I'm literally just pacing back and forth in the building. It's like I'm not saying anything. I was just pacing. And it's like that was different. Usually by the time the talent got there, I had gotten my outburst out of the way with Antoine and LaTanya, and I've done my bitching to my wife, and I've done bitch to Tom, and by that point I'm into the show, going over what we need to get done for that day. And it was completely different than anything I've ever experienced in the 20 years I've been in the business.
What I always found was problematic, especially in the scenario we're talking about, Xavier, is that what bothers me the most in these situations is when people who have not gone through this business, have not learned this business and all the aspects of this business, and they're trying to give their opinion, their view, their everything like that when they're an outsider looking in, and they don't know how to build a show, build a card, and all this different stuff like that. They're just looking at it from their point of view. And I would think in my situation or your situation or anybody's situation who is at time in this business, you would listen to their feedback, you would listen to what they have to say, and then plan the show accordingly. But there's always going to be somebody who's from the outsider looking in, who thinks they can do this, and they don't get it when it blows up in their face. They just don't understand that.
It became a broken record. But I remember one call in specifically that we were on. It was very early when LaTanya first came aboard. And I got into a screaming match with her on a call. It was me, Tom, Antoine, and LaTanya.
Is this the one where I just hung up?
Yes. But you were on at this point. She kept saying, I have an MBA. I know business. And I yelled, listen, bitch, there's a difference between business and the fucking wrestling business.
Those are the exact words where I hung up, because I was like, I'm not being a part of this.
I'm sure other people who have MBAs have ventured into the world of business and been proven unfruitful or unsuccessful. But to say that doesn't mean shit.
No.
I repeated the line, there's a difference between business and the wrestling business, a million times on calls with them. It was just a joke. Let's get back to the actual story here.
When Jared Priest told me to get out and go sit down, that was, I like he said, at that point, I was merely a commentator. I was a fringe player, not different than now that much, but I was a fringe player. And even that was the first moment that I realized that something was horribly wrong. I mean, the ring not being there, notwithstanding, but we'd been through things that before that hadn't worked right. But the fact that the ring wasn't there and might not be coming, when Jared got upset, I'm like, oh boy, this is not good.
Okay, well, for starters, anybody who knows me in the industry, I try to keep myself on a professional level as much as I possibly can.
Right.
I try,
It's true.
okay? Especially in these situations where I try to keep some sort of decorum because I'm one of the people that are leading this product and stuff like that, helping with the product. And I'm trying to be better than my predecessors in that situation where I'm not snapping at people, where I'm not yelling at people. But in that situation, when we were dealing with something that was catastrophic, I lost my cool. And I don't get angry at people because I know the anger I have, it's got consequences. So I try my best not to lose and blow my top. In that situation, it was throwing it to the wind. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to make sure we try to solve the problem. After when I snapped at you, it was all about trying to figure out how to solve the problem.
How to solve the problem, right?
But
Now,
but here's the thing.
remember-
I don't think any of
ahead.
us took it personally. Once we, because I literally remember walking up to Steve, and that's when I was informed. He was like, the ring's missing.
Now,
That-
I remember,
He's like,
at
fool, I
that
know
point-
it's and I can see.
At that point, it made sense that all three of you were pissed. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and my barometer for everything, with how bad something was usually looking at Priest. Because, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and I don't think it's ever been actually addressed. When I was first put in charge of creative, I know Priest was not in agreement with that decision. I'd like to think that over the time, he understood, sort of where I was going with things. But I don't even know if Priest remembers this. Early on, I went to him and I was like, look, I can be an asshole. I'm very abrasive. I need you not to be that guy with the talent. I need you to be the opposite of me when dealing with the talent. I need you to be the guy, if I'm mean to them, you talk them off the ledge.
So you wanted to be the salt and you wanted me to be the sugar.
It's like, and if you ever noticed, it's like when we did the pre-show meetings, it was always Priest giving the pep talk, this, that, and the other, and I was all business. All right, this is what we're fucking doing. And then I get the fuck out of the ring. But that's, so when people showed up and knowing the dynamic, from the time we worked together, seeing me pissed off, which is nothing new. I was pissed off every month. But then seeing him pissed off too, something was definitely wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
I can contribute to that because I remember the order of the phone calls I made that day. It was Antoine, who didn't answer, Latanya,
Never.
who didn't
What?
answer.
Come on.
Then it was, hey, Aaron, the ring's not here.
You're
Then it
fucking
was-
living,
Not a
mate.
call I would want to make.
And it was literally 5 minutes. I'm not fucking with you. The ring's fucking gone. And you're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it's not where we left it. And then I was like, let me make a couple phone calls. I'll call you right back. And then I called Brutus and I called Jared. And I'm like, guys, you aren't going to fucking believe this. The ring's fucking gone. It is missing. Someone came to the building and fucking took it. So Jared over here is coming to the building already steaming. Now, let me mind you, at the time, I think you were still out in Chicago Ridge. You weren't out where you are now. So your drive was not that bad. So you had maybe 15, 20 minutes from your doorstep to the building to gauge how you were going to react when you got to the building instead of the hour and a half that it would have taken you from where you're at now. So I'm sitting here going, all right, well, I got to deal with Jared when he gets here. I got to deal with everybody when they get here. And to progress where we're at in the story, Jared gets to the building. He pulls me aside. He's like, all right, so what the fuck's going on? Obviously, there's no fucking ring. Do we know who's taking it? I was like, I made some, I've made some contact with some people and I've located the ring. It's now a matter of getting this person to surrender the ring. And
Hold
in
on.
the process of Jared coming to the building, I'd already made the phone call to the Markham police. The police showed up. And it got to the point where the cop was like, is the ring in the company's name. Antoine then shows up with the paperwork from the office saying, this is the document saying the ring is ours, yada, yada. The cop's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is what, if you guys want to press charges, you can press charges. But we obviously, for the show's sake, you guys need the ring, right? I was like, yes. He's like, do you have a means to getting the ring here? I was like, I've got a fucking multi-hitch on my truck. I will flip the hitch. At the time, I was pulling a 2-inch ball off of my trailer for the lighting. I was like, I will flip the hitch. The hitch for the old crash-tested beater trailer was like, I don't know, 1 3/4 inches. So I was like,
you are now getting a lesson on trailer hitches from Fallout Ace Bradley.
Oh,
Well,
wait
here's
till
the
Steve
thing.
gets-
You
till
can't
Steve
pull.
gets
You
into
couldn't
replacing the wheel.
pull that small trailer with the 2-inch ball because it wasn't going to connect. And unless we went
Nobody
to a
gives a shit
hardware
about the
store,
ball.
unless we went to a hardware store to get the new trailer hitch, we were fucked.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Pardon me.
But I'm on the phone with the police. Jared's sitting right next to me. Antoine's right here. And I think Aaron, you stepped in front of the phone for like 2 minutes before you blew your top. And I was like, dude, just walk away. Just walk away.
Yeah, I was like, I'll come with you. I'll kick his ass. Let's go.
Meanwhile, John Hudson is here all the way from Michigan. You're watching.
No. He was not coming from Michigan at that point. He was out in California. No, you weren't. You were out in California.
Oh, that's right. He was in Malibu.
You were flying back for the shows at that period. You were out in California at that period.
No, dude. Crash Gibbings. I was in East Lansing.
Oh, I know that period you were been flying in because you had missed one show before that because your flight got canceled.
Yeah, that is true.
I thought you were still flying in from Malibu to Chicago.
You've got Aaron on the high wire. You've got the demigod seething. You've got Tom running around talking to police, and all the rest of us, our eyes are boggling because we can't believe what's going on. What's going on in your mind? You're a professional wrestler, John. What's going on in your mind at this point?
Well, before I was so rudely interrupted by all 5 of you, just to recap on everything. Number 1, Ron. Yeah, it wasn't Crash Givings, but there were some shows that I flew in when I was living in California because number 1, it seems like I'm the only one in the Midwest that wants to make it in this damn business. Number 2, just like what C-Red said, when he showed up and he was like everyone was quiet. Just like what I said, Jared, before you showed up and you were at the beginning of rudely interrupting me. I showed up to the building around 5:15. I'm making it real quick so I can get into it. I showed up to the building around 5:15. I get in there and everyone's quiet. What did I say? It was a calm chaos. Calm chaos. Everyone was in their little groups. No one was talking to each other. And just like what C-Red said, everything was there except for one thing. And he's gone now. But the first person that actually walked in that night was Tom. I told him the what's up, and I was like, "What's going on?" And he just went, "Dude, someone fucking stole the ring," and he walked away. He didn't say any other word. The next person I spoke to was Ron. And Aaron told me at that time, it could have been like 5:30 at this time, maybe a little bit later, I'm not sure. But he told me that the ring was stolen and it was either halfway into Indiana. Correct me if I'm wrong, like halfway into Indiana or somewhere in Indiana. And someone took it and we're not too sure what's really going on. Just sit back, relax, and we'll figure it out. By that time, we already had a crowd outside. We had no ring. I think if I remember correctly, the show, how late was the show? Can anyone answer that question?
I believe we started roughly an hour late.
It
was like an hour and a half.
No. You're mistaking it. The day the ring was stolen, we actually got it set up in time. The day that we started a half hour to 45 minutes late is when one of the trussing rigs broke and the lighting rig around the ring almost collapsed.
We couldn't get it up.
That's when we were about an hour late.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, you're right. You're right. We did get it back on time.
All right, then.
That's the one where Machine and Max Holiday were up on that 20-footer, sweating
Gotcha.
profusely, holding the ring rig up for 20 minutes.
No, it was Machine and me.
It was Machine and Terry.
I
was
no.
back going with Max Holiday going, what
Max
the hell?
Holiday, long hair. Me, no hair. Me and Machine were both holding that up.
On
Okay.
a ladder. It was fantastic.
Priest, all you white guys look alike.
Damn it. You're right.
Okay. So at this point,
Tom, hang on one second. So now I want to go into the recovery of the ring. As Jared and Tom have to go into a black ops situation, not only go get the ring, but get it back.
Hold on. Can we have theme music?
No. No, you better well just kick on the Sopranos music. That's what it was more like. Okay, that was more
all right.
But I don't know that theme. So.
Look up this.
All right, so to paint a picture for you, we hopped in my truck. Now, something I have not told anybody up until right now is, Priest, you remember me telling you I'm having a problem with the brakes right now? For some reason, we're not stopping the way we should be.
Vaguely.
I did not realize on the way to the building we had blown the brake line on the truck. Yeah.
It just gets better.
Yes. And so by the time, all right. So at this point we spoken with the officer. We located the ring. We found out that Jed had the ring. Jed had given us the address. Getting to this point, I was talking to him over Facebook. And it got to the point where I called him and I was like, hey man, you've got the ring. We've got a show. We have fans that are out here. They're here. We have guys that have driven hours to be here to perform. And you are inhibiting them from being able to do this. You are preventing fans to enjoy what they are going to spend their money for. You are you're going to be the reason why this show fails if we do not have a ring. He's like, well, the ring is mine. I own it. I finally got it back. I was like, I have the police right here. I put the phone on speaker. Now, for those of you guys, I know Jared, you were next to me, and I think Aaron, you were in and out because you were flustered, you were pissed off, and
I was going back and forth. I was trying not to say I'm going to come kick your fucking ass. So,
yeah.
I handed the phone to the officer. And Jared, this is where I'm going to let you tell the story because you tell it better than I do, because I actually stepped away for a little bit so I could compose myself.
All right. First of all, I think that Jen was under the impression that he thought we were pretending that a police officer was on the other end of the phone. He was. And then finally the officer identified himself. And then finally at that moment, that's when Jed was like, yes, this is Jed. I don't want to say his last name, but yeah, it was just basically.
It's already been advertised.
Huh?
It's already been advertised. His name's out there.
He said, yes, this is Jed Williamson. And the officer then decided to explain to him what is going to be potentially the charge for holding on to a property that has not been his.
Not charges.
Oh, charges, plural. Sorry, my apologies.
The charges were
two different.
Theft over 1,000. Theft over 1,000, transporting stolen goods over the state line.
Yeah. I mean, the officer listed down all these different things. You're correct about that. All these potential different situations. And it was in his best interest to relinquish the ring back to us, basically. Am I forgetting anything, Tom?
So
I mean, besides getting the contact information of the location of the said ring, that's when we drove to go get it. So, I mean, that's when it happened.
Before we left, the officer said they were going to send an Indiana state sheriff to the location to meet us there because we were treating it as a repo job, like very much like a tow driver. If they were to go repossess a car that wasn't making the owner wasn't making payments on, we were treating it exactly the same. And so we pulled up. We got a block away from the location, and I got out of the truck. I pulled my seat forward. I handed Bryce. I think I pretty sure I handed you a tire iron or some shit. I was like, Bryce, just in case this motherfucker has a gun, a pipe, a knife, I'm going in and out. You're the fucking big guy. You're the muscle. I'll get it done quick. You just fucking you knock the guy out or kill him if he fucking comes after me.
Hence the Sopranos thing. But you're forgetting that conversation, the phone conversation I had with Jed as we were approaching.
I
forgot about that.
Forgot we were on the phone with him for a short amount of time.
Yeah, so this gives you a general idea to everybody who's watching this and listening. If anybody knows me, plain and simple, I am completely for the boys. I want to make sure the boys are taken care of, the boys are watched out for, because watching out for them and making sure they have a wrestling match and had a show to do and all the different stuff like that, that was important to me. And what I was really upset with was when I was talking to Jed on the phone. I was like, look, Jed, you did not just screw over Antoine. You screwed over the boys. You screwed over the locker room. You screwed over the people who worked very hard to put this show together. It is not the boys' fault that whatever discrepancies you have with Antoine, that is between you two. What you did was hurt the locker room. You hurt the workers. And I cannot tolerate that. I do not tolerate that. I was very upset, clearly, but I was like, I'm a major advocate for the locker room and making sure that everybody had to make sure they were able to wrestle that night. That was my number one priority, because everybody knows that we put a lot of time, work, and dedication to get to where we are in this business. To have someone take that away from them and is a massive like shot to the gut for a lot of people, especially when the company was at the level it was at the time. So I went back and forth with Jed about it, and Jed finally saw the gravity of exactly the of his actions, realizing that his mindset, I think, in an honest opinion, was a combatant towards Antoine. Right. But he didn't think of the ripple effect of how it was going to affect everyone else because of that act itself. I mean, the phone conversation was plain simple. I was done with Jed at that time frame. I was furious with him. Anybody who does that kind of stuff at a capacity, in my opinion, has no respect in my eyes, because that means that you're willing to hurt anyone and everyone that gets into your wake, and you don't care about anybody except appeasing what you wanted to get done in that process. That's how mad I was about the situation. It's like, you don't care about anybody in that situation. You just cared about getting the ring back, but you did not do it through the proper channels. You didn't do it legally. And in the aspects of doing such a selfish act at that time, it basically showed that he did not see the gravity of all the people that were going to be affected by that mere act alone.
Well, here's my thing, and it's exactly what you're saying. But when Aaron turned over the reins to the ARC, and I understand to some people it's just a gimmick, but these guys and girl were family to me,
and still are. It's still a thing.
And still are. And John was the biggest person that I was upset for. Whether it's California or whether it's Michigan, John had the biggest travel outside of outside talent. He was the one that came the furthest to get to the shows. So as Uncle Red, C Red, Sean, whatever you want to call it, when you hurt one of my friends, then you hurt me. When you attack my friends, you attack me. And knowing that, like I said, and I might have said it, maybe it was jokingly, but I'm dead serious. Tom could have probably slept late that day.
No.
Shut up. Aaron and his wife could have been off somewhere romantically, whatever. You know what I'm saying? everybody's
there
got
ain't no romantic link.
okay, whatever. The point is, everybody on here has shit to do, or can have shit to do. And if you choose not to have nothing to do, then do that too. But on this particular Saturday, everybody either on their phone, wrote on their calendar, whatever you did, you had this date to put on a show. So now you've taken it away from the fans and you've taken it away from the boys.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that is unexcusable.
Yeah, exactly.
If my beef is with A, then B, C, and D should not be affected with me and A. That's between us.
Right.
So to see, let's be honest, and John can back me up. I think that was the only time that we worked there that the whole locker room was just like the air was sucked out. Like nobody, like to wonder. See, you guys were recovering.
That's the calm chaos he was talking about.
Right.
Until that ring was set up,
but we didn't know.
suffocated.
But understand, we didn't know. So Priest and Tom were recovering, but we had no idea. Would you recover? Are you gonna make it back in time? Are people gonna start asking for money back? You know,
Well,
I'm sitting there in a huddle with Willie, Miles, Renee, and John. And Aaron tried to, you know, be cool and tried to bring it down and said, this is what I got planned for you guys tonight. And it was like, okay. But could our mind, in the back of our minds, we kept saying, is this really going to happen?
Well,
is this going to happen?
And it's like, the problem was everyone kept asking me what was going on. And at that point, the only information I had, and it really sucked because I tried real hard to be honest with everybody. You know, I didn't want to be dishonest with the boys about what was going on with anything ever. But, you know, the only information I had was Tom and Jared were going to get the ring or try to recover the ring. And here was the plan. And so, you know, they said, well, is the ring going to be here? It's like, I hope so. And everyone would look at me and say, look, all I know is they went to get it. A cop from Indiana is supposed to meet them there. If everything goes as planned, yes. But if it does not go that way, there's a chance that Jed changes his mind knowing they're coming and moves it. I don't know. And, you know, in my mind at that point, I'm just trying to, you know, do business as usual. That's why I came to you guys say, hey, this is what I need out of your promo. And this was before what we're going to get to later came about. You know, and I'm trying to set everyone up. Hey, I need these pre-tapes done. I need this, that, and the other. And the whole time, I'm just thinking, God, I hope Priest and Tom can get this fucking ring. Because if not, we are screwed.
Now, if you remember, we did have a plan B in case we couldn't get that ring. And it was only with this building because me and Brutus used the building's mats, the show prior. That they had those gymnasium pads.
I remember I remember you mentioning that, and I remember how totally against that idea I was, but
right. We almost had to pull a Nikolai. If you remember, there was that indie show where they didn't have a ring, and Nikolai Volkov did a match on wrestling pads. We almost had to do the same thing. And when me and Jared were going to recover the ring, Jared asked me a very serious question that I had not even considered. And it was, what condition is the ring going to be in when we get there? Is everything going to be there? Are the boards going to be okay? Is it, because we knew Jed had the original crash tested ring, which to anybody who wasn't on the wasn't in the know, the crash tested wrestling ring was an old landscape open trailer. By open, I mean it did not have a roof. They threw a tarp over it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was exposed to the elements.
How long did Jed have the ring?
I have no idea.
That has always been a question that has always pestered me about that, because obviously somebody tipped him off about the ring being stored there. Somebody tipped him off. I'd like to know that person because it's obviously there's always somebody who's trying to sabotage shows. It's like it's so stupid. Like I hate people try to do that.
And Priest, we had went over that before you got on the call, and it's like we all sort of have the same suspicion on who it is, but without proof, we didn't want to name the person. But you know, in my mind, there was one person that was in the know that was still on a friendly basis with Jed at the time. There was only one.
Right.
But once again, without proof, I'm not going to mention that person's name.
Yeah.
So you guys get to the ring. You get to the place where it's being stored. What is waiting for you there?
So
Jed is waiting for us, and
we actually beat so remember earlier in the conversation we had mentioned that there was supposed to be an Indiana State Trooper there.
Right.
We got there faster than the Indiana State Trooper.
Yeah.
That was about for Indiana.
That response time in Indiana.
Very telling about Indiana's response time. But anyway.
I remember I think you called me a Duke boy that day. We pulled up, and well, actually before we pulled up, me and Bryce were exchanging stories because we've both been in the business of repo in tow.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like explaining, all right, worst case scenario, what happens? And we're like, Jed pulls a gun on us or whoever. So we pulled up to the location, and I can't remember if it was Jed's brother or a friend's of Jed's. He was storing the ring outside in the trailer.
Next to a garage.
Somehow,
next to a garage.
No, it wasn't even in a garage. It was outside.
Next to the garage.
Yes.
Okay. It was next to the garage. Jed Roddy blew with us. I know I don't know the other people that were with him, but the main goal was to get the ring, just acquire the ring, get it hooked. I know during the process of Tom hooking up the ball hitch to the trailer, and we're getting it all set up, getting it all hooked up, there was a lot of huffing and hollering from the people that were with Jed at the time, like made it sound like this was a great travesty. What's going on? Why can't we stop them? And all different stuff like that. But it's like, no, Jed was in the wrong for what he was doing. And he had to, I guess he had to reiterate to them that this had to be done. And we got the trailer hooked, and we proceeded to leave. I wanted to make sure that Tom was getting the trailer rolling. And once we were all gone, I said goodbye, Jed, and that was the last thing I said to him. And we just left, and the priority was getting the ring back, getting it back to the show, and get everybody back up on the same page.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember Tom giving me a call and saying we have the ring, and him trying to say something else, and I just hung up on him. Because my mind at that point was, I went through the locker room and was like, hey, they'll be here in, I want to say it was like 40 minutes. I was like, I need all fucking hands on deck. I don't care who the fuck you are, how long you've been, if you're the main event. If I don't see you out helping, you're not getting fucking paid tonight.
I was in a suit. Carrying in boards.
Dude,
Everybody
both of us.
that was in that building,
everybody was dressed, dude. And it's funny because to this day, I can remember John wearing a half a t-shirt, and I don't know why, just games. It was November, okay? Shorts and boots, wrestling boots. And here I am in a C-Red suit, slick shoes, like, I need to get paid. Come on, John. Let's carry these boards in.
I will say this for the locker room. I don't think I have ever seen a wrestling ring set up and ready to run a show in under 20 minutes in my life.
It was
it happened that fucking day.
Fast.
We got another crash tested story. Midlothian with Eugene.
Well, we're still talking about the ring here, but
I know that, but the ring then too showed up late because of a flat tire, and even Eugene was helping set up.
I bought that tire.
20 minutes.
Yeah, but let's stick to the subject. All I was saying is, like, I was really impressed because, like I said, I went through. It was like, if you sit, I don't care who you are, and we had a certain group of people that Jared sort of had, had supervision over it. We had a default ring crew, so to speak.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Of some undercard guys that would help out, some younger guys.
Yep.
But I remember specifically that day I went to Brubaker, I went to Hades, and I told everyone needs to fucking grab something. I don't, it's like, because not only did we have to get the ring in there, but once it was in there, we had to finish moving the entranceway back into place because the entranceway blocked that garage door.
We also
Yeah.
had to run the hard cam under the ring, so we couldn't set up the hard cam wiring until the ring was in place.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
so it was, it was a very, once it got there, despite all the chaos, it was a great effort by the entire locker room, because that was the quickest I've ever seen a ring set up and ready to go.
That was
Hey, but-
it was just a tight ship. Everybody knew their roles. Everybody knew what they needed
Yep.
to do. It was so fast, and I was beyond impressed with everybody all contributing and everybody helping out. I mean, Hudson, what is your view of everything at that time when we were putting the ring together?
Warp speed.
Mm-hmm.
It was really quick. Wow, it took us like what, 8 to 12 minutes, maybe less, to put the ring up.
Mm-hmm.
Like by the time it got there, I do remember us having a line outside, the crowd wanting to come in. We knew they were antsy. We were told that they were starting to get really pissed off. The second the ring showed up, the moment we had it up extremely quick, and then the show started. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Ron started the show off.
Ah, yes.
Which
So,
brings
the
to
ring- The ring had been stolen. The ring had been reacquired. Everybody pushed together to get us even pretty close to being on time. The cameras were ready. The lights were ready. The wrestlers were ready. The crowd was electric. And I keep talking because I'm waiting for the evil idiot. There he is.
Hey,
So-
I got my earphones and I can hear, but let me say this real quick. I had it on mute because I didn't want to have the world hear me piss. But so we get the ring up, and I just want to make this clear. Despite the fact we did start on time, we didn't open the doors until, I want to say, right before 7 o'clock. And here's the part that I went to Jed. I don't know if Tom or Priest knows this, but that show there, coming off of what we had done in All or Nothing, was a big pre-sale show. We ended up giving back because people were pissed off because they found out the ring wasn't there. Obviously it wasn't, but I don't know who spilled the beans to the crowd. But I know we gave out a shitload of refunds on some of those pre-sales, which is what one of the things when I had my text conversation with Jed about a month ago, I went over. It's like,
I never heard this.
Yeah, I want to say the final count is we gave back like fucking close to 70 fucking refunds that night because people weren't sure the ring was going to get there. And
Yeah.
I know the immediate reaction is, okay, you were told that. No, I was involved in trying to talk these people out of getting their money back.
Yeah.
So now back to Steve. Yes, the ring is set up, and here's the story. So Red and the ARC is supposed to start the show that night with a promo.
Yep.
And maybe 3 minutes before they're supposed to go on, they have their talking points because I don't write scripts. I just say, hey, I need you guys to cover this. Antoine comes to me and says, I need you to go address what happened. So I go to Red and I'm like, do your promo. I'm going to interrupt you, and I'm really sorry, but I'm going to get you out of the ring. I'm going to have to bury you guys a little bit, but I'll make sure later on I make it up to you by having you guys put me down at some point. So let's, and we never got to that because business went in the shitter.
Right.
But it is what it is. Red, I owe you guys an ass whooping on me. Sorry.
So at commentary, we have our outline. We are ready to go. We're about to stream it live. We're about to record it. Aaron comes up to me literally. It's like a minute and a half before we're ready to go live. And he says, change your plans. I'm coming out. And I'm like, why are you coming out? And he's like, trust me, get ready to react. And so for the first time in a great many moons, the actual footage of the opening of Crash Givings is going to come to you via my phone on Zoom because I have no technological savvy whatsoever. This is the best I can do. I'm hoping to go to Rockford and learn how to do better. So here we go. The opening montage for Crash Givings and the evil genius addressing a very raucous and pissed off crowd.
Well, that should be an interesting matchup. You're wasting your time. It's time for me to waste your time. How's everyone doing tonight?
There's some cheers in the crowd.
We've known each other for a couple of years now, and you know I don't hold anything back, right?
Uh-oh. This is true.
And I've got a few things to get off my chest.
Oh, dear.
And it pertains to what happened today.
What happened
We
today?
tried very hard to put on the best possible show for you guys. Like it or not, love me, hate me, we try our asses off.
This is about to get real.
Apparently there's people who don't feel the same way. We showed up to the building today and our damn ring had been stolen.
That is a true statement. Somebody stole the ring.
Stolen by the man who started this company and then sold it to Antoine and LRP, Jed Williams.
Aaron Xavier calling out former owner Jed Williams right now. This is real.
Jed, I hope you're watching on the LRP network, you piece of shit.
Oh my goodness.
You're talking to JJ Williams. This is Ryan John talking to Jed Williamson. You want to start something? How about you quit being a little bitch and come find me?
I'm sensing anger.
It's a great disturbance in the force.
A little bit. But those of you guys that know me from, the show, I was that pissed off all day long anyway.
So at what point did you start drinking, before the promo or shortly after? Because I know sometimes you'd slip a little bit.
Usually about a third of the way into the show, I would pour my big drink and I'd sip on it throughout the night. That night, I did not pour my drink until intermission. I was completely sober at that point.
Oh, fuck.
Now I want to frame this because in a few moments we are going to do something that we'll see how that goes. We're going to bring Jed Williamson onto this program. Now,
Boys and girls, it's been a pleasure playing with you tonight.
let me frame this. This is important, so listen.
That's going to be a big frame if you're in it.
Well, that's probably true.
Oh, fuck.
That was a general manager at his wit's end cutting a promo to fire up a crowd. Okay.
No, it wasn't.
No.
That was not a general manager firing at his wits to fire up
I
the
am going
crowd.
to set this clear right now, Steve. I've learned much more that there was more to the story with the legalities and everything. But
Right.
at that moment,
Right.
all I knew was the damn ring for CTW, which I was in charge of at that point,
Right.
was stolen by this guy.
Right. No, I wasn't.
That wasn't a GM starting to fire up the crowd. That was me letting the crowd know what the fuck had happened, and I was pissed off. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you the truth, if he would have showed up, I would have punched him in the fucking mouth that night.
No, I know. You didn't let me finish.
That wasn't character. That was me.
Right. No, and what started off as the GM addressing the crowd turned into something much more.
Yeah.
And I think it needed to be shown. It hasn't been shown in a long time. Now, we're not doing that to be inflammatory. I'm
No.
doing that to set the tone for him coming on this show.
Yeah.
Now-
Okay.
Now, he is a human being, and he is somebody that we all have known and worked with at one point or another over time. At this moment in time, he is not the enemy, and we are not bringing him here to be a roast of Jed Williams.
I like to interject. I like to interject in that. When I was working over with the recent promotion, I'm running a blank, Tom. Global. Yeah, Global. Jed actually came up and approached me, and we had to talk, and him and I settled our differences between the two. One of the biggest things when I talked to him, I was like, you know what? It happened. It's in the past. It's done. It can't be undone. It's what it is. So I don't care anymore. It's like the biggest thing for me that night was to make sure everybody had a show, the fans, the boys had a ring to work in, were able to do a show that night. And once that obligation was out of the way, my mind was clear about it. Yeah, I still would have some raw feelings about it, but what mattered to me is from task to finish. You know, we got the show off, we got it done, and it's pretty much my dismissal about it. And that's what I basically told him, like when he approached me at Global, wanted to try to clear the air with me. And I know when I talked to him, I just basically said, you know what, it happened. It's in the past. It's what it is. You know, it's just like you're not going to forget about it.
Nope.
Obviously, you know, you're still going to feel
Plus,
bad about it
it's a
because
legendary
it's something
story.
that took that situation.
It's a legendary story. It's a story
Right.
that defies description. Every stretch of the imagination, it's a great story. We overcame the situation and had one hell of a show. That show was on fire. I don't think people remember how good Crash Givings was. It was
very
a
good
show despite all the stuff, all the stuff that led into what happened before the show began. Now, very clearly, the new crash tested wrestling that Jed is starting now has nothing to do with the individuals that have been with you to this point in the show. I also wanted to make that very clear here tonight.
Is he prepared? Is he prepared and ready? Like, is he good to go?
He is going to be on momentarily, but I wanted to kind of set. Go ahead.
I just wanted to. Priest wasn't on early in the conversation. I just, you know, it's like he mentioned that Jed had come up to him at a Global show. It's like about a month ago, Jed had, when he first started advertising the reboot, I had made a post, you know, with the flyers that just so I don't get any more messages, because I had gotten a couple messages from some of the guys we'd used in like Battle Royal shows, stuff like that. I was like, I'm not involved with this. It's like, don't message me. And Jed messaged me, you know, telling me to, you know, take down inflammatory remarks. And we had a conversation about it. And I told him, it's like, look, whatever happened between you and Antoine was you and Antoine. My heat with you only came from the fact that you tried to screw over the show. It's like, because he originally tried to baby face it off like, you know, most people would. And I was like, it doesn't matter. If it was just a right or wrong thing, you wouldn't have come and taken the ring and not said anything. If it was just I'm right, you're wrong, I have a court order, you would have gotten the ring and let Antoine know, I got the ring, I have a court order. That's not what happened. And, you know, he tried to do the thing where it's like, well, the courts decided in my favor. Well, that's great, but they decided in your favor well after you took the ring. So at that point, when it's in legal limbo, the ring belongs to the company. The courts haven't decided who owns the company. Well, I'm sorry, for better or worse, we ran the company at the time. So you sold the ring from us.
Right.
And it's a touchy subject, and it will always be.
Like I told him, I wish him the best of luck. I hope he does well.
So we are going to welcome him in now, and we are going to get his take, and we're going to see what he has to say, because as much of a player as you all were, so did he end up being. So let's bring him in now and see how this goes.
Buddy, take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale.
This is a part of me wish I could go a step away and take a leak real quick.
Popcorn time. Popcorn time.
Hello, Jed. Are you with us?
I am here, yes.
We can't see you.
He chooses to
I see the name Jed. Does that count?
I see the name. He'll his picture will show up eventually. There might be a little icon.
Jedediah.
Camera disabled.
Sure how to do that.
Well, there you go.
Hey!
I didn't even do a damn thing.
Well, welcome to the Power Hour.
You must have Tom's internet.
Jed, we've been talking now for the last little while about the case of the missing ring. And you and I have talked all week about, you know, what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. So this, again, as I told you, this has not been a roast Jed show. This has just been these guys that are the greatest storytellers that I've ever worked with or seen, talking about the instances and the occurrences of that day. So we're going to yield some time to you to kind of get your opinion on, you know, the day and you know, what your attitude is toward the situation.
That's a very vague thing, because I mean, perception is in the eye of the beholder. You know, it's you can't make everybody happy, no matter how hard you try. So no matter what I say, somebody's not going to be happy with what I have to say.
Well, that's certainly possible.
Oh, very likely, actually.
Well, Jed, it's not about making anyone happy.
Right.
What it was, and I went into this tonight, is anything I did not firsthand know to be true. What I did not say, I did not spread rumors. All I did was tell the story of what I saw personally that day. So we're not looking for you to try to make anyone happy. We're looking for you to tell what you know to be 100% fact,
Exactly.
not what not
That's
what
fine.
anyone else.
And I'll tell the facts, but the fact,
And that's all it
Fortunately-
is. Tell your story, because everyone knows if there's two sides to the story, it's going to end up somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
It's
Aaron, let him talk.
me,
Let him talk. Let
shave
him
your
talk.
beard.
Let him talk.
all right, well,
What's yours?
it's not just about that day. It was everything that led up to that day as well, and what happened after that day. So that's why I said it's a little hard to narrow it down to just what happened that day.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was a part of the staff with me at the time that I was there, they know that with every passing month, my authority and my say so of what was going on was being slowly pulled away from me. And yeah, I took it personal. And then I left. And then when I tried to come back April of 2017
17.
and did the one show, he screwed me again. I mean, I was so livid because I literally had just got done telling the locker room, I'm back, I'm here to stay, I'm not going anywhere. And he turns around and screws me again the very first day.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
What was promised to you on that show? Because I've heard his version of it. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what he told you.
Technically, nothing was promised.
Okay.
Okay, but the year and a half that I worked there, I was getting $50 a pop. Okay, and I wasn't expecting $50 because I was no longer, part of the staff. I was no longer in the inner circle, so I knew I wasn't getting $50. And after the show, everybody went around, you went around, I should say, and gave everybody their paydays. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Jamie. You handed her hers, still didn't get mine. Everybody's out the door. Everybody's, so I called him up and I said, hey, Aaron's handed out all the paydays, but I didn't get anything for me. And he's like, oh, well, swing by the after party. I'll get you taken care of. I was like, dude, it's already like 11 o'clock at night and I got to work tomorrow. I got to drive another hour to get home, get some sleep and get ready for work. Oh, well, come by the office, in a day or two and we'll get you taken care of. So I go to the office and wait for him for like an hour and a half. And he comes out and tells the receptionist to hand me an envelope with $25 in it.
Okay.
And I asked, I was like, what is this? I said, what's this? He's like, oh, this is starting management pay. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You don't even the only manager you have on your whole roster is C Red, and he's wrestling. He's a active wrestler too. So I know he ain't taking $25. So what the fuck is this? So that's why I said he screwed me again.
Okay.
I left again. But I didn't leave the company because the second I walked out that door, I had already decided I was coming after my company.
Okay.
Because I had already spent 6 months trying to get him to fulfill his part of the contract we signed.
Okay.
His deal was he was supposed to pay for my half of the ring, and he never paid 1 red cent. When it came time for him to make his payments, because I started getting calls from the financial company, I said, okay, well, my original business partners paid his half, and he didn't tell me, so it was 3 months delinquent. But I'm okay, fine, So I went, I took paperwork to him. I said, here's the paperwork, here's the contact information. It's time for you to make good on your half of the contract. Had he done that, I would have had no choice but to walk away and say, okay, it's his. He fulfilled his contract.
Okay.
6 months go by, not 1 penny. I'm making the payments on that ring every month. And then it comes around that I contacted a friend just out of the hell of it, just shooting the shit with a friend. And they told me, no, let's back up one step. I had filed the lawsuit. The lawsuit was in place. We were already doing the lawsuit. I called a friend and he just happened to tell me there was these 2 shows 2 weeks apart and that he had decided to leave the ring there in between. So I contacted my lawyer and I said, am I within my rights to go get my property? My lawyer said, yes, you are. So I went and I repossessed my property. Now, I will freely admit, shouldn't have done it. Not because I was doing something illegal, but because, and Jared Priest or Bryce and Tom can testify to this. The day, here we go to the day of the show. Had I not answered my phone or shut it off, I would have irreparably, can't say the word, irreparably damaged my relationship with the locker room and the fans. And for that, I am immensely sorry, which is the only reason why I gave the thing back to begin with. And it was Tom's call and Bryce's phone call. And I heard the disappointment in their voice. They weren't pissed at me. They weren't livid. They were disappointed. And that bothered me. And that's when it sunk in. Fuck, I'm not screwing him over. I'm screwing them over. So I said, yeah, okay, come get the ring. And you can ask Tom and Bryce, I was in tears. My brother was standing right beside me and he asked me, are you sure you want to give me? I said, I'm not sure. I don't want any of this happening right now. I went and repossessed my property because I was pissed at him and there was an opportunity for me to get my property back. And yes, I did not think about the boys and I didn't think about the fans in the heat of the moment. And it's going to follow me for the rest of my life.
Jed, that was real and that was heartfelt and that was well spoken. And
I only had half a pack of cigarettes waiting for this thing to start.
well, it wouldn't.
We all had half a bottle of vodka or rum or wine in John's case, so we're all halfway in.
I'll give you credit, and I'll give you credit like this. You to come in front of this panel of people and say what you said takes a lot of courage because you're dealing with some of the personalities that are the strongest in this business and that have been for quite a while. You're dealing with people that take wrestling as a very sacred thing. The whole,
as do I.
As do you. The whole institution as sacred, and you are facing them and you are offering up an apology for making a bad choice in regards to the personnel in the locker room, in regards to the fans. However, I always, hearing both sides of the story, it kind of goes along with things that the guys were talking about as we were talking about the dealings of CTW in the LRP network. Listening to you talk, listening to Jared and Aaron and Tom and John Hudson and C Red, it kind of makes me think that over everybody, there's a common denominator. Now, what you did in regards to the boys and in regards to the fans was an error in judgment, which you freely admit, which I appreciate because I think that takes a lot of stroke.
And that's my personality. I own up to what I do, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. I don't shy away from what I do. I made that choice and I made the wrong choice. So now I'm owning up to it and I'm taking responsibility for that. And at the end of the day, I hope that people can see that and recognize that I'm taking responsibility for my shit. Because that's what that's what a human being should do.
I'm going to open the floor to anybody that wants to speak right now. So if you have something,
I want to, but if anyone else has something, mine might take a little bit here.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
And
You have the floor, Aaron.
I'm once again, I'm trying to get clarification. I know me and you had a little bit of a chat through Facebook Messenger, and I know I can come across very condescending when I talk. So please ignore that portion of my personality. Everyone's dealt with it. My issue, and knowing now after hearing you and knowing what was going on, I can understand the mindset where you were coming from.
Because I was side by side with him the whole time before I left. So
I know, and I understand.
Between him and I was intense.
It's like when this plays back or whatever, and you see the stuff that I said about you, and I'm not sure if you've seen it on the show.
I haven't, and I'm sure it was.
Please know that was just based on the fact that in my mind, you had just shown up and stolen a ring. That's all I knew. Now, what I was getting at.
Believe me, well, I'll give you this, Aaron. I will not hold that against you for the simple fact is I know that he spun that way from the second you walked in the door.
No, actually, Antoine
Wait,
had no idea.
Hey, let me finish.
Go ahead, Tom.
Even knowing, and me and you discussed it through when we were messaging, my issue still is, and you did, you apologize that, the fact that it screwed the boys, stuff like that. My issue still, even after hearing what you said, was if you thought you were in the right, which legally it was proven after the fact you were, I'm not debating that. Why the secrecy by grabbing the ring and not saying anything?
Because
that comes across very shysty to me.
Why would I tell him?
Well, if you weren't trying to just, pull a fast one, why not just say, I'm in my legal rights, I have the ring?
Trying to pull a fast one because there was a window of time for me to repossess my.
I didn't say ahead of time. What I'm saying is, and we don't know when how soon or how long had you had the ring before we showed up to the show? Let me ask you that.
A week.
Okay. In that week, after you already had possession, why did you not say anything? That's the part that comes across as very shifty and very shady.
The opportunity had presented itself, and my mental faculties at that point was I did it to get back at him.
Okay, but
him to walk in there on show day and see that the ring was gone.
Okay.
There were
things
that I wasn't thinking about the boys in the face.
That was always my biggest problem, even after talking to you, was the fact that you got the ring, you thought you were in your legal rights, but why did you let us all come in there fucking blindsided? And that was always my problem. And it had nothing to do with anything else.
I fucked up.
And that's fine. I can accept that. And I understand, things can happen in the heat of the moment. It's like, but that was always my problem. If it was just about the legality of it, which is what the argument I had always heard was, okay, you got it. You thought you were legal and you're right. Why the secrecy after the fact? But now you've just explained it. So that was really my question.
Compounded with another. I mean, It was all about the animosity between him and I. And that's all that I was thinking about. Once I got the ring back, that whole week, I was flying high because I had finally got one over on that jackass.
And then when Bryce...
It wasn't until the day, then when Jared and Tom called me, that reality had set in of what I done. I'm not denying it.
It kind of snowballed on you, didn't it? At that moment. Yeah.
It's like, and we've all, I'm going to speak, we've all done something out of spite that we realized after the fact hurt a whole lot more people. Sure. And so it's like, but no, I understand that. It's like, and thank you for clarifying it because that was always my issue.
I also want to keep it clarified that at the end, in the 11th hour or whatever it was, I still gave the ring back for the boys.
You did.
The show went on, whether it was late or not, the show went on, and I was able to sleep that night knowing that I didn't take that from the boys and the fans.
No, and you did. And no one on this entire hour and a half or whatever we've been talking has denied that. You did the right thing in the end.
You did.
Which is, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what mattered. That my only problem was what we've just discussed was why the secrecy. But you explained that, so I understand because once again, I know I've done shit purely out of spite, and then after the fact realized, man, I fucked over this person, and this person who had nothing to do with it.
Tom? Oh, John Hudson, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a quick question. So you say you had an agreement. Was this agreement in writing?
Yes, there was a contract in place, and that
There
is,
was a contract in place.
there was a contract that we both signed, and that's why I called my lawyer before I went to take the ring.
Okay, well, quick question. Instead of calling your lawyer and do it, like, cause to be honest with you, I'm not trying to do it like whatever, but this is all, this is like, this is, I feel like I'm 16 again, back in high school. If you know show business, which I obviously you do not, why didn't you file a junction against him and leave the ring there, file a junction? Do you know what that means?
Yes, I know what a junction is.
Okay, then why didn't you just file a junction against him and do it the legal way instead of the little girl way and steal your ring back? That's my question. Why didn't you do it the legal way, like a man, or as we do in now 2021, you know, the proper way? Because back in the day, we would have taken you out back and whipped your ass. But be honest with you, why didn't you file a junction? Why did you go and steal the ring like a little 15-year-old girl? That was some shady shit. And just like what Aaron said, you had it for a week and didn't say a word.
Okay, that was harsh.
Use your head.
Jed, you get a chance to
file a junction. You just don't take back. You file a junction. You do it the right way. Not the little girl way, not the high school way, the right way. Remember that next time, because I guarantee that might happen to you again. That was real, because I remember that day. That was really fucked up.
Okay, so we got that perspective. Jed, do you want to retort?
No, he's right.
Yeah, I am right. That's why I haven't responded. You know why? Because I'm smarter than you. I mean, come on, man. Like, really? How
I'm
old
gonna be
are you?
Let me lighten the mood.
You're like the oldest guy on this panel, but yet you're the youngest in the mind. Who does that? Like, from a worker, we have nothing. We have nothing. I remember that day. I drove 3.5 hours in shit weather. You know, the snow when it's falling and it looks like Star Wars when it's like warp speed. That was the whole time through Michigan until I got to Indiana and Illinois. And when I got there, there's no ring. You know why? Because you took it like a little girl when you should have been a man and should have done it the legal way. The legal way. So whoever you hired as a lawyer is an absolute retard. You should have filed a junction. You know what a junction would have done? Completely taken him out, which means if he would have even stepped foot or even, it's like a restraining order. If he would have even gone near the ring, you could have taken him to court and it would have been all yours. About that, did you? But instead you tried screwing all you did was think about yourself. You haven't.
Now I do have a retort.
Okay, please.
Because now I've sat here and I have politely sat here and listened to you tear in.
I've listened to you.
And I have admitted that I made a fucking mistake. I have admitted, I have apologized. And
Okay.
I feel like shit for the mistake that I made.
Now why? Okay, now my question
don't
is, why did
think-
you file a junction?
Because I'm not a lawyer. Maybe my lawyer should have. I don't know. I can't walk in there and say, why don't you do your job and file an injunction?
He works for you.
Oh, hold on.
I don't know that they're, like you said, I'm stupid, right?
That's why you hire a
Hold
lawyer.
on.
Better.
Hold on now.
Go ahead,
But
Aaron.
you did call the lawyer and say, is it within my legal right to get it? And he didn't say, hey, no, that's a bad idea. Let's file a junction.
Correct.
I mean, John,
Said that I was
don't
within
get me
my
wrong.
rights.
John was a little stiff with the way he was talking, but he does have a
Stiff?
good point here.
If I feel
He was
like I was just in the ring with Vader.
And I'm just gonna, and I'm going to say this is like, Steve, you were worried I was going to be the mean one on this talk.
I
And
never
I'm just
saw
gonna
that
point
come.
out
I thought I had
not-
gotten through this and I had accomplished what I wanted.
But no, it's
And
like
that
I did, and I did. You know, when you called him, and it's like, and once again, you're not a lawyer, but I do question it. You know, if you call your lawyer and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this," you know, why didn't he bring up the idea of, "Hey, not exactly a great idea. Here's a better
a very good lawyer. which happens.
I wouldn't go that far because I won the case.
Well, that's true, but he didn't give you maybe the right advice at that time. But that's
Maybe.
again water under the
Which goes
bridge.
back to, once again, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes.
No doubt.
But you're
and own up to those mistakes, and you try to rectify those mistakes, like I'm trying to do with Tom by paying him the money that Jackoff owes him for the logo, when I'm trying to pay Brubaker for the paydays that he didn't get from Jackoff.
Brubaker didn't get paydays?
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
and
Because
that's a whole other conversation we can have after
yeah.
this.
what?
I know all about that.
Unless there's something I'm missing, I have the records of everything, and I'm pretty sure Brubaker got every dime he was owed.
Brubaker never got paid for the last 2 shows, which is why he never surrendered the crash-tested title.
This is
I'll have to
unaware
go
to
through
me.
everything, but I'm pretty sure that might not be accurate. I'd have to go through the records of it, though. I still have them somewhere in my computer.
I have direct messages from Nick himself asking him about that, and he said the reason he still has the belt is because he was never paid in full.
Before other people start commenting, Jed, it takes a lot of guts to come in here. I
Yeah.
give you that, but you have to understand that everybody's got different personalities. Everybody's going to speak their mind. If they have ilk, they're going to say it. It does, just because you apologize doesn't necessarily mean that you are saved from the ilk of what's coming to you.
Of course not.
Okay, it's
I
reprisals.
never thought that I was going to come on here, apologize, and everything was going to be sunshine and rainbows. I never.
And Jen, let me just say this: if there are, like what you said, Brubaker, I was under the impression that Nick was caught up, because I spent 6 months post the last show trying to make sure everyone was paid. And as far as I knew everyone was, I found out earlier John was still owed money. I did not know about Nick. If you have any question on, how much he was paid, I was the one with the payroll sheets. I can send you any information you might need for that.
I'm not worried about that, and that's not what this conversation is about.
Oh no. What I'm trying to say is, if you need help, because like I told you in the message, I'm not trying to sabotage anything you were going forward. My post was solely about, I was getting messages about the show, and I wanted to make it clear I was not the one doing it. So, but what I was saying is, if you're trying to, get back the CTW title or something like that, and you need information, because I know workers, and I'm not saying this about Nick, but I could totally see worker A saying, oh yeah, they were paying me $200 a night, trying to get an extra payday. I can tell you, if anyone says I'm owed this and you need to get something back, I can tell you exactly what they were owed for those shows, because I have all the payrolls from every show still in my computer. So I know exactly what I paid everybody on every show.
Well, I appreciate that. If I do need that, I'll reach out.
Absolutely.
Well, let me speak. Jed, we've spoken.
Yes, sir.
Through people.
I did get to say hi to everybody when I came on.
And even on Facebook. So take the glasses off. So this is Sean talking. This isn't C-Red. So again, so you can understand what I'm saying. So personally, I have nothing but love for you. And again, if I get to the point where I hate somebody, that's bad. That's really bad. So you're not in that category.
I appreciate that.
But you have to understand this night, and I've told you this. For me, it wasn't, because you have to understand people like me, Hudson, Steve, we didn't understand all of this back issues. We're paid to do a job. Now, Priest, Aaron, Tom, they're in another category. So they understand everything that's going on day to day, week to week, month to month. That's what they do. But as far as Hudson, me, and Steve, we're told show day, to be there, professional time, Hudson knows he has to wrestle. I know I have to manage Hudson. Steve knows he has to call the match that I'm managing that Hudson is wrestling in. That's as far as the three of us go. So to get to a building at 3 various times and see 3 people that we respect and they're losing their shit, and they wasn't taking it out on us personally, but you can see that they were pissed. If you could have been there and see when you were with the company and to know what it was probably like before show days or on show days, I mean, and how people are trying to do this and do that and just, get along and make sure everything is right. So when the doors open, boom, we can get started. It wasn't like that day. For John to drive 3.5 hours, and I said this before you showed up, anybody that ever knows me knows that I've always taken my managing role maybe a little bit even too seriously. I look at them. I have no brothers, I have no sisters, but they are my family. Even though I just found out again, Renee is my cousin. God. Anyway.
What?
Yes, Renee Van Peebles is my cousin.
Legit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How you think I feel? How you think I feel?
We have the results right here.
You are the father.
You are the cousin. Anyway.
I am the cousin. So to know how much I care about them and to see them hurting, and that was nothing. All we can do is sit and wait. Now, again, I appreciate there was no funny business or whatever. You talked to Priest, you talked to Tom, you understood, you gave it back. Again, like Aaron said, hell, I can tell you, I've made some mistakes where I look back and I said, damn, I was thinking about this person and the shit effect rolled down and I wind up hurting a whole bunch of more people. So with all of that being said, I can't speak for nobody else. From this point on, and yeah, we found out all the other parts of the story. And as Steve has said, there's a common denominator. If anybody can figure out.
There is a common denominator for sure. And I pay for it every day.
So I'm done with it. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm done with it. Sean C-Red is done with it. All I ask is one thing, Jed. From this point forward,
Anything.
whatever you do, always, when you're contemplating whatever, stop, think about who it affects, and will it affect anybody outside of that?
Absolutely. I'm not trying to use this as an excuse because there's no excuse for what I did. But I am now on anti-anxiety medication. And prior to that, I was prone to panic attacks and nervous breakdowns. So I wasn't, believe me, I think a lot clearly these days, and I take things one step at a time and I evaluate them thoroughly. So I have no intention of ever repeating a mistake even remotely like this again.
John?
Before I spoke, I didn't know what you just said. I did not know that. And I will admit, you got some balls coming on here, and I really appreciate that. But
I own up to my mistakes.
And you know what? Everything that was said, that shows you got some balls, man. It's really cool of you, and it shows that you're man enough to
agree.
All that good stuff. So, and trust me, from someone who suffers from, this something not that bad, but we all have our anxieties and everything going on, especially today. And with all that being said, that's really man of you and cool of you to step up here with all of us and all that crap. So I appreciate it.
Believe me, I knew I was putting myself in the line of fire. And with all due respect, Steve, you said it's not a Jed bashing thing, but I knew that at least one person was going to. I didn't expect it to be John.
Everyone thought it was going to be me.
I barely knew them.
Everyone thought it was going to be me.
Oh, I thought it was going to be you too.
Listen,
Jed,
spirit. Go ahead, Aaron.
Jed, I just want to say this, and you weren't here when we were all talking prior to the show. And, we were very clear, we all wanted to just speak to what we knew to be true. We didn't want this to turn into the roast of Jed Williamson, outside of John's 3 minutes,
the airing of the Aaron and Xavier.
Once again,
but that was for historical purposes.
That's why I explained that.
Right.
The one thing, and I know I said it, and Jared, this was before you got on. I know Red said it and Tom said it. In the right circumstance, not one of us said that in the right circumstance, we would not work with you ever.
It's true.
Now, all of us were in agreement that we all think the CTW name is toxic, but it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the administration before.
The common denominator.
But it's like, I said flat out, if Jed was to call me and say, hey, I'm changing the name, I just want you to write creative, I'd entertain the idea. Tom said the same thing. This is
I know I've gotten a lot of not want to say backlash, but a lot of criticisms about not changing the name. And that's another story for another time.
And you don't have to explain that to us. But what I was trying to get out of it, the major point was, like Red said, he let it go. Obviously, if we all said, in the right circumstance, we'd be open to working together again, we've let it go too. This was more about getting the whole story out, because as late as last night, I had a fan tell me that what I said happened did not happen. And I'm sorry, and I didn't say anything that I did not know to be true. All I said was I showed up to the damn building and the fucking ring was gone and you had it. And I was told that's not what happened. So it's like, that's where this whole thing came from, is let's get the whole story out.
Let the record
of what actually happened.
Right. And, like I said, it's been a long while since that occurred, and, we're all different people than we were back then. It's good to get this kind of stuff out in the open, and people now know the whole story. I look at Jared Priest and I want to see if he's got anything to add, because the wisdom of the ages, Jared Priest always seems to have. And
I do.
It's moments like this that I look for a little wisdom.
I do, but I rather give everybody the floor at the time frame first before I speak.
Okay. Tom, we'll go to you, and then we'll go to Jared, and then we'll wrap this package.
That sounded dirty.
Not Jed's package. We're not wrapping that. That's up to you.
That sounds dirtier.
I'm trying to
uncomfortable.
I'm trying to stay calm, because throughout multiple, I'm not gonna lie, since you've come on to the call, I've been between emotions. Beforehand, I was really calm, I was really collected, I was fine. Now I'm on edge, and it's the same edge that reminds me of when Crash Tested was going on, when me and Aaron would be on a phone call till fucking midnight, yelling at each other with Antoine on the line. And a lot of it reminds me going to the first Destiny. And I mean, that's where your real drama started with LRP. And we're not here for that. If you want to do that, that's completely other discussion we can have with Steve. My thing is, going into that day in November 2017, it was, I woke up, I remember waking up, I woke up at 6:30. I was still doing stuff on the computer, getting stuff ready for lighting. Me and my father, we hooked our trailer up, and we got to the building at 10. At the time, it was me, Jamie, and my dad. Jamie rode with me. My dad rode in the van behind us. We got to the building. We set up the trussing for the entranceway. We set up the lighting. My job was not the ring. I was purely entranceway, trussing, and lighting. And on the rare occasion, audio. We're not even going to get into that.
That's a story for another show.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the day you and me almost went into it in the locker room, that's a whole other day. But
We'll revisit it.
But for anyone who knows, I always just did entranceway and entranceway lighting. I did not do the lighting around the ring. And so it didn't even come to me in my mindset to be like, hey, we just had a show here last month. We stored the ring at the building here. It's under the cage. I have no reason to not think it's there. And I'm getting everything set up and people are starting to show up. And you're like, hey, should we set up the ring? I was like, I don't see why not. It's under the cage. You know, go flip the cage, go get the ring. They flip the panels. The ring's not there. I'm like, what are you? You're fucking kidding me. This is where the conversation is going to take an interesting twist because you said one thing, Jed, and up until this point, I've believed you. I have believed you. You and me, I called you over Facebook Messenger after calling Joey Boom Boom from ARW, after calling fucking Hardcore Harry, who does ring rentals, contacting Jimmy Blaze to see if he had a ring. I didn't know who took the ring. And then instinctively, I was like, all right, who the fuck has an idea of where this ring might be? Who's got an axe to grind? It was Jed. I was like, all right, I'm going to call Jed. We spoke. Yada, yada. We had our conversation. I divulged about that before you got on. You know, calmly, collected, whatever. It wasn't until now when you got on here that you had made the comment that you had spoken to your lawyer. I remember this day in November very, very vividly. Very, very detailed. Not once at all did you ever say that you spoke to your lawyer to get and ask if it was the proper thing to do. If I were to recall the personality and the person you were back then, you were very vengeful. You and me had many, many conversations before Antoine was even in the realm of reality. When you and Artie were going at it, and this all goes back to the whole show going into the benefit show, where Artie just showed up and threw the flyers in the locker room, was like, "Here you go, here's your flyers, fuck off." You and him were at each other's throats, and I'd always kept the personality and the perspective. I'm gonna be the fly on the wall, and I'm just gonna watch and see what the truth is, because there's the saying, there's your truth, their truth, then the truth. And if you're the fly on the wall, you're gonna see both truths, so you're gonna be able to figure out which one's the real truth. And anybody who knows me knows I'm an asshole to start, and I'm very good at figuring out the realities behind things when I do that. Not until today did I ever hear you or anybody in this situation say, I spoke to my lawyer and asked if this is what I should do. Because now I'm going to go back to what Hudson says. Any smart lawyer would have said, don't do anything. Let them continue what they're doing, and we will catch them on their wrong, and we will file against them in more. Because now you're sitting here saying, all right, I guarantee in your court case, you would have already been said, I want to go after him for court fees. Now I want to go off of him for stolen property. If you remember the conversation we had on the phone with the officer that night, that day, it wasn't the night yet. It was that day. It was fucking 12:30 in the afternoon. We didn't get to the ring until like 4 because we weren't able to figure everything out. You were already talking to the sheriff, which we had to provide proof that it was a legit Illinois sheriff talking to you, stating that you were already on the hook for stealing property and transporting it over state lines, theft over 1,000, and we were willing to drop everything. Any smart lawyer would have, if we would have had a lawyer at the time, would have said, no, fuck him, charge him. This is what you're getting. This is what you're going to get on the hook for. So in your case, any lawyer would have said, no, don't do anything. Let them proceed with what they're doing. You know where your property's at. You know your legal standings. File the injunction. file the stolen property, file the stolen name or whatever at the time, and get them in court. Don't lower yourself to their standard and come back and steal the ring. Now, I reiterate the fact, you and me have spoken countless times since that show up until now. Nothing of this matter has been discussed to me. But now you come back and you say that you spoke to your lawyer. No lawyer in their fucking right mind would sit there and say, no, you're within your legal rights. Go steal your fucking shit back.
Well,
and I'm not sitting here trying to fucking speak ill will or throw you under the bus or anything. I'm just telling you because I've dealt with lawyers enough in my last 10 years in personal experience. No lawyer's going to sit there and say, no, you know, you're dead to rights. Go steal your shit back. Because if that were the case, it's the company would have been yours in 2016 when Antoine fucking didn't pay after the first 3 months on the ring. Why would you have waited fucking a year? You could have done it then.
That question I can answer. I went to like I told Aaron when this whole thing started off. The deal was that he was paying off my half of the ring. And when the financial company contacted me to tell me that Artie's half of the ring was paid off and was now 3 months delinquent.
No, Artie did pay off on his half. Artie paid off on his half entirely?
Yes.
So legally, the ring is half his right now.
If he wants to try to come after it, he can.
Does he know that?
I'm sure he does. But we also signed papers that he relinquished his half of the freaking company.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jed. Finish up.
No, I'm see, this is, and I do apologize. This is what I expect.
I'm not asking for an apology because you already did that.
I'm not.
See, our relationship.
Another one. I'm saying that day that I spoke to you and Bryce on the phone, I did tell you that my lawyer said I was within my rights to pick it up.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You absolutely did not, because if you would have done so and the officer was there, the officer would have told you to present paperwork when we showed up to repossess the ring, and the officer from Indiana would have shot us away. When we got there, you did not have any paperwork in hand or prepared.
No.
Us away.
This is why I'm trying not to get worked up, because you're sitting here saying that you're a fly on the wall and you're trying to see both sides of the story and everything. But what was said between my officer and myself was that a Lake County officer was supposed to meet you and Bryce at the place where the ring was at to properly transfer it back to you guys. No papers were said that had to be there. Nobody was supposed to have proof of nothing. The police were supposed to show up to do the transfer from me to you. No cops ever showed up. My brother said, hey, there's no cops here. Why are you giving it back to him? And I said, because I can't fucking do this to these guys. I can't. It's not about him no more. It's about these guys.
And I respect you on that aspect. I understand that aspect. But my thing is it could be a lapse of judgment, but I do not at all recall nor at all remember the fact of you stating you spoke to a lawyer who said you had the right to go back and repossess your ring.
I believe
and on that note, whoever you spoke to tell you the ring was being stored at that location at the Harold Murphy Rec Center, I have my suspicions on who it was.
I want to know. There's one person on this call that knows who it is. Clear it up. Who was it, Jed? If you're trying to,
that is one question I will not answer.
So you're going to protect somebody who was also involved in screwing the boys.
And I'm going to back Aaron up.
No, Jed. I have been very nice about this, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. And you talked about how you gave it back because you didn't want to screw the boys, but you're protecting the guy who initiated screwing the boys.
And
So
I'm
you're still
gonna back.
protecting. If you are still protecting him, you are no better than you were when you took the ring.
And
The
I'm
court-
gonna back Aaron up on this. You're being the bigger and better person by admitting your faults. But whoever told you that the ring is being stored at the Harold Murphy Rec Center before that show in November has been scot-free and is not at all getting any of the scrutinization or any of the negativity that you're getting right now. And that's not, and I'm gonna say it, it's not fair to you to have to take that burden on, especially if this is someone that we're supposed to be able to respect as one of our peers and one of our participants in this business and trust as a brother. But yet they would go behind our backs, the company's back, the company that you started, and I helped you build before Antoine was even a fucking thing. All right. And you're willing to protect that one person who told you the ring was stored at the Harold Murphy Rec Center. That makes them lower than what you were on that one day.
Like I said, if you're going to protect them, then any apology you gave is meaningless because you're literally protecting somebody that had a part in trying to screw us over.
And
that's a person that we should be able to trust.
So the fact that I am not willing to throw away a friendship to satisfy your curiosity makes me.
It's not a curiosity. It's a brothership. We should all be able to trust each other. And Jed, I'm just going to tell you, there was
Brothership?
There was exactly 5 people total that knew that ring was there, and 3 of them are on this call. 5 people total that knew that ring was there. 3 are on this call prior to you being told. And I will guarantee that it was one of the 2. And I'm 99% sure it was 1% on the other. But once again, like I said before you were on here, without proof, I'm not going to throw a name out there. But if you're going to protect somebody like that, I'm sorry. It is what it is.
You're looking you're looking at the court of opinion amongst workers. This is what we do. This is part of what we do in general. We are very particular about who we have in our circle, and we can't trust the people that are in our circle, or they make mistakes, or they do stuff that goes against the better nature of the entire locker room. Those are the people that are not allowed to be in our presence, because if they're willing to slit the throat of everybody else to help screw over a show or screw over workers, that is somebody in general that deserves to be in that position for a reason. If you want to choose to protect that person, that's on you. But if you're trying to protect them because of the reprisals from what will happen because of the consequences of their actions, they made their choice. They made a decision, and they went against the locker room. And anybody who knows, who has bled, sweat, and worked their ass off in that ring, that means the world to us. To do that in that act alone is a spit in their face. And any worker in this industry would agree with us 1,000%.
Yep.
And here's the biggest thing of it all. The real deal behind any of it is the fact of exactly what Jared said, what Aaron said, and what I've reiterated is the real deal behind any of it is the fact that, yes, this is a brotherhood. It's supposed to be a brotherhood. You've taken this burden on since 2017. It's been 3 years now. And we're sitting here still talking about this. We're giving you the platform to clear your name completely. We all want you to be able to succeed with what you're wanting to do. But here's the problem that lies in my heart in the whole entire situation. It's not even it. Yes, it goes with there's a rat in the mix, but it's more or less the fact of if this person's done it once, God forbid this shit were to ever happen again, you know they're going to do it a second time.
And they'll do it to you. And they'll do
it. Exactly. Thank you, Hudson. Well put. I was about to say the same thing. They'll do the exact same thing to you. Okay? Now, you can choose to be a pariah on this one. That's up to you. But if this person does this to you, that's your burden to deal with.
And Jed,
This is
this is a big thing right here. You brought me, Brutus, and Christopher St. Michael in on your second show. Me and Brutus were the only people to stay on the crash tested roster from when you brought us on until the company folded. In my heart and in my mind, I'm pretty sure I know who it was.
Me too.
And if it's exactly who I think it is, it's one of the exact same people I entrusted my life in the day before my mother died in a ring. I'm not going to mention names. They don't deserve to be mentioned by my mouth because I still have respect for them. And I want to be able to hold on to that respect if it's not them who exposed this news. Everybody has a different ply on this person, who it might be. This situation will never actually truly go to rest until there's complete closure on the entire day of events that took place in November on 2017. And I'm pretty sure everybody here will agree with me on that. And that's where...
Tom?
Go ahead.
Cut you off. Okay. So everybody has had a chance to give their opinion.
Besides Jared. Besides Brett.
Go Jared next.
Well, I'm still waiting to see if there's going to be an answer, because if there's not an answer, then I say fuck the new CCW and I'm going to bury it.
Okay, well,
because then he's no better than he was when he took the ring.
Let's get Jared's final thought so we can end this, because we've run quite a bit longer than we were supposed to.
I can answer that question real quick, Steve, but it's on you to keep it from snowballing again.
Once you answer, I'm not going to say a word. Are you going to answer yes or no?
The way I'm going to answer that question.
It's a name, yes or no.
You want me to speak or not?
Let's let Jed speak.
Are you going to answer the question, or are you going to go around the question?
Let him talk. Let him talk. And Jed, if you want to be cryptic about it and speak carny, so the fans and everybody listening doesn't understand, go for it. Because I guarantee everybody in here besides Steve can speak carny. If you want to be cryptic about it, we'll pick up on it, and no one else will.
We just want to know who the fucking
floor is yours
in our midst is.
We are going to let Jed speak uninterrupted.
Yeah, go ahead.
If said person called me and said, hey, the ring's sitting here, I'd be more than happy to tell you, because that's a download dirty thing to do. I called a friend. I had a conversation. He said that as a passing statement. I took it upon myself to do what I did. I am not going to sabotage his reputation
for being a fucking rat.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Jared?
If that's the way you guys want to view it, if that's the way you guys, that was towards my wife, not you guys. Because she's right above the computer here, pissed off. But nevertheless, if that's the way you guys want to react to it, fine. If he came to me and told me, here's where the ring's going to be, do with this information what you see fit, then I would say, yes, this is who told me, because that was a piece of shit thing to do, as well as what I did. It was a passing statement in a conversation with a friend. Why? Why am I going to throw that person under the bus?
Jed, and I will give you the exact reason why. And Steve, before you cut me off, don't. Jed, the reason you would consider doing so is because you are on the line right now with...
Because I'm taking responsibility for what I did.
I understand that. I get that. Hang on.
He did nothing wrong.
Hang on. I get that. And we've all accepted the fact that you've apologized for the fact of taking the ring, and we understand your reasons behind it. We understand there may have been legalities behind it and all that. But the big thing right now is, yes, we are at that point, and we get that. You're wanting to carry on this name. And we're wanting to be able to be supportive of it. whether we're there or not. But there's also the situation of who told you what happened.
And the reason it matters, Jed, no matter what you did, it never happens if he doesn't tell you.
And the big thing behind that, going off of what Aaron just said, is Jared, C-Red, myself, Aaron, and Steve all want to wish you the best of luck in your endeavor in creating the third version of Crash Tested Wrestling and making it successful. But we cannot do that. We cannot be a part of it if you were to ask us, and we cannot help you unless you are honest with us and you let us know what went into that day. And I say again, you can say it in a term as if the fans would not understand it. If you want to messages to us, that's fine too. And I would hope to God everybody in this chat would swear to secrecy and not revealing that information. But it's one of those, this is a brother of ours, possibly a trainer of one of ours. I'm not looking at you, Jared, because you had no idea about it.
No, I'm not saying it was me. I'm just saying that's a very small list.
All right. So we've made it very clear that you're looking for him to name a name, and we're not going to do it here. Maybe he'll message you, maybe he won't. That's for him to decide. This topic is done. I appreciate all your standpoint, but enough is enough. Jared.
To talk about all this stuff all over again is raw. I mean, yes, Jed, you and I have spoken. I have dismissed it. I have put it behind me. But this conversation right now, it just brings back old emotions. It brings old feelings about this stuff. When you took on Christopher St. Michael, Brutus, and Tom, the big thing with them was they wanted me in this too. But the thing for me was what was very important after what we came from was there were students that were compromised in the wake of what happened back then. And the biggest thing for me was to make sure that they had a home. I wanted to complete their training. As anybody who does not know this, as I was training, I was offered payday. I didn't take it. I didn't take it because what was important to me was the training of completing the training of the people who I felt got burned in the process and the decision making that was not part of their involvement. That was a very imperative to me, was to make sure that these people were saved, they got their training completed, and I didn't care about getting a payday. I didn't care about that kind of stuff. What mattered to me was making sure that other people, younger guys and girls in this business, had a leg up and had their foot in the door and they were prepared for this world. That was my number one intention when I first came aboard. That was no matter what, all the younger people had a place. They had a home. And because a lot of them were heartbroken, and I was part of that group because I was very sad about what happened, because I felt like a lot of people needed a place to train. Now, what brings to this point of this situation, I took it extremely personal because it hurt my kids, it hurt the locker room, it hurt everybody that was involved with the show. And I am very, very much wanting to make sure that everybody around me gets taken care of. And you made a decision where you put your pride before your principle. That is a choice that you have to bear with and have to live with. Now, that person, whoever told you about the location of the ring, in my honest opinion, did not have your best intentions involved. Okay? Now, they're your friend. Okay. That's fine. That's what that is. That's what's going to have to deal with. That person one day will pay the price and the consequences for their own choices, because clearly they made a decision that once it gets brought to all of our attention, and of course all the other wrestlers, and this person knows this, that once his name gets out, he knows that basically he made a choice that he has to live with, and it's going to come with reprisals and consequences because you don't screw over the locker room. Now, I've been done with this for a while, and that's fine with me. And you're at basically ground zero. As I remember and recall, that's one of the names of the shows that first started. You're at ground zero. You did something that affected your reputation, and this law in the world of the industry, news travels fast about promoters or workers, no matter what. And that's going to have to be something that you're going to have to rebuild. Do I think you can do it? Yeah, I think you can. But it's going to take a long time to break that stigma off of you. And that's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with. And this is going to be something you're going to have to face with. You're going to deal with workers who are going to have an opinion about it. You've seen it tonight. You've seen it tonight with all these people who are very, very passionate about this industry, and they're very, very passionate about this business.
Not even that, but passionate about the company that we're talking about.
Yeah, to us, this was our home. Okay? We came from a place that decided to go home. They were done. And we were without a home. And we found a new home, and then it got threatened again. And these are different things that I'm going to be very personal about it and very passionate about it. It's like, this was very passionate and very emotional for us. We had a connection because this was a place that we could call our own. And to have someone come in, make a decision like that, I understand your reasons, but this was something that affected us personally as well. As much as I know that you had like issues with Antoine, I understand your plight, but you have to think beyond yourself from here on out. That's something you have to think about, because when you have a bunch of people working for you, that is something that you're going to have to consistently remind yourself to never put your pride before your principle. So I've said my piece on it. I wish you all the best. I hope that you will eventually get yourself in a position where you're not going to have this on you anymore. And I hope that you have success in your endeavor. Seriously, I really do. That's it from me.
All right. This has been one of those shows that we'll look back on it, and there will be some moments that we enjoyed, and there'll be some moments that are difficult. Jed, again, it took a lot of courage to come and face a bunch of people that had a very strong opinion, and I give you all the credit in the world. All these guys, John Hudson, Tom, Aaron, Jared, we always appreciate having you on the program. Thank you all for taking time tonight to recount a story, to go through some feelings, and to bring some purpose and some clarity to what we've all been through. I feel like this story has now been told. I feel like I have a better understanding of it. I feel like everybody that will watch this will have a better understanding of it. The best thing I can say is do your best to be good to each and every one, because in the end, that's all we can do. That's the best we can do. On behalf of C-Red and this cast of great storytellers, I want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on the Power Hour. Good night, everybody.
A little late for that.